What are you expecting these two to go for, and do you expect them to sell to customers within this region?
Well, Philip, what are the estimates?
Well, the estimates are actually 130 to 170,000 euros each, which is plus 20% in dollars these days. They could go worldwide. I would very much hope for one of them or two of them both to stay in the region, but international bidding is very much a Bonhams thing, and these are very international products. And as we just mentioned before, the fact that BMW actually selling them is sort of a first time. So I think that with a bit of luck, it'll be very strong bidding from all over the world.
There's a couple of very unique cars as well. We've got pictures of them here. I don't know if the camera can pick them up, but there's an Aztec. What is that?
In an Italian design Aztec, yeah. It was designed by Giugiaro, and in fact they only built 16. It's a very special car, as you can see from the photographs, and again something that could very much appeal to the local clientele.
I think I recall seeing this in a movie or something like that. Are these running cars?
Absolutely, they're totally running. They have 250 brake horsepower Audi turbo engines, and obviously would provoke anyone on the street as far as looks go, because they're quite outstanding.
And what's this been done to a Daytona? It's a shooting brake Daytona?
Yeah, it's a one-off. It's a shooting brake Daytona that was actually commissioned by Louis Chinetti Jr. and was built by Panther in the UK. So again, it's a very particular one-off car on a mythical chassis and with a mythical engine from the 365 GTB4 Daytona.
So who was the original owner of that car? Can you tell us?
The original owner, who Chinetti sold it to first, I'd have to look up, but Chinetti certainly commissioned the project through his North American distributorship. He was well known for ordering special bodies on Ferraris, especially in the 60s and early 70s, of which several were shooting brakes, but this is the only Daytona shooting brake in the world.
So these cars that we're talking about here are quite rare, but I presume some of the other cars that you have will be, I don't know, you can't say common when you're referring to a classic car, but a bit more, I don't know, maybe within reach of a normal person?
Well, that's right, yeah. Affordable is the word you're probably trying to get, and which is very much my sort of level. Yes, what we want to get together is a nice spectrum, and let's face it, this is fairly unique for us as well, and we'll be going into it using as much experience as our collective minds can bring to it, but equally it's going to be a bit of a test bed as well. So that's why we want a spectrum of type of cars and also value. So US dollar wise, there may be some cars in the sale from as little as 20, 30,000 US dollars, going up to perhaps 5, 6, 7, 800,000 dollars. What we want to do is offer a nice smorgasbord of content, and then as a result of that we can assess where there was particular interest, which will help us focus and define the next sale, because there'll always be a next sale. We're not here for the short term, and then we can just tailor it for the tastes of the region.
Are you looking at an annual event in this region or something a bit more frequent?
No, definitely. I mean, definitely to start off with an annual event and gauge the reactions, gauge the climate of the region and the interest that this first motor car sale will generate. But as my colleague just said, we are here for the long term. It's not a one-shot operation.
And just in terms of the classic car market itself, if we can just touch briefly on it, I know that's probably a very long and involved subject, but as somewhere for people maybe looking at now to place their investment, is it a good bet, so to speak?
Yes, in a word, certainly the last 2 or 3 years, the whole global economic situation has been quite interesting, if that's not too flippant a word to put on it. But certainly we have seen in the collector's market, not just really our sales that have been incredibly successful, but the whole market in general, whether it's trade, brokering, or the auction side of the business, has all been pretty buoyant, and incredibly so, really. Well, when I was doing my budgets a couple of years ago, I was anticipating that prices would hold steady and still in cases go up in value. What I wasn't anticipating is the sheer level of volume being traded. I thought that we would see less buyers coming to market and less bidders and sellers coming to market. And if anything, the reverse has been true. We've seen...
Can I ask, is that a reflection of a loss of confidence in other traditional forms of investment?
Well, I think there's an element of that for sure. Crikey, here in Dubai, the property real estate portfolios are on the tip of everyone's tongues, but that's a global phenomenon as well. Then you've got the other more traditional markets, stocks and shares and bonds, etc. And yes, people are looking to alternative investments. The great thing about a motor car is that it isn't locked into one particular currency. What we've seen is that if you buy the right sort of car that appeals to an international clientele, well, you can sell it to the currency that's going to give you the greatest offer. And that's something that's been fairly key, certainly in Europe and the States, where the exchange rates between euro and UK pound and US dollar have been all over the place over the last couple of years. So with a collector's motor car, you're not actually tied into one currency, and to use that pun, it's quite a mobile investment.
Very good. Just a final question then. Obviously in the region we love our cars, and but we also love very fast cars. We love the newest thing, the latest thing. Do you think we're ready for classic cars as we understand them?
Yeah. Well, I'd like to think that in time we might wean you off a little bit of the more modern high performance and prestige supercars out there. Yes, there's no doubt about it. You guys are first and foremost car fanatics out here, from the taxi drivers that give me a hair-raising ride from airport to hotel, to the fabulous motor cars that we see on the highways here. Sure, it's a fledgling market, and but as far as I'm concerned, it's going in one direction. I think year on year we'll see more and more people here dialing into the heritage of the motor car manufacturers, and it's early days yet, but we like to feel as though if you're here early enough, then that will help you with your longevity later on.
James Knight, Philip Kanton, thank you very much.